Hello everybody and welcome to Pravus Gaming and Life is Feudal Forest Village. We are streaming this live on Twitch. Hello to the Twitch chat, hope you all are doing well today. And for those of you who are watching this late on YouTube, no problem. Sorry you couldn't make it to the stream, but I completely understand. I am doing an earlier morning stream today, earlier than I usually would. But I miscalculated the hours it would take to get to my parents' house later today, so I have to kind of move the stream forward, and we're only going to be streaming for about an hour and a half to 2 hours today. But let's go ahead and take a look at the game. So, Life is Feudal. This came out, I think, just over a month ago in May. It is not the first Life is Feudal game. There are a couple others out there. Life is Feudal Your Own is one I'm familiar with, and it is very similar to a cross between Ark Survival Evolved and Chivalry. And honestly has been criticized rather heavily for borrowing a lot of themes from other games. And then they released this, Life is Feudal Forest Village, which appears to be very, very heavily inspired by Banished. So much so that it's getting terrible reviews on Steam because a lot of people are criticizing it for being a direct copy. It does have some different mechanics, though. My wife actually kind of likes this game. She thinks it's actually better than Banished in a lot of ways. I'm not sure that I agree. I think it does some things well and some things not so well. We'll take a look at that in just a second. Just know, very similar to Banished. If you've seen my Banished playthrough, you know what you're in for. Let's go ahead and start up a new game. We're going to be starting on an island in this game. There is no other alternative. You have to be on an island. Doesn't make a lot of sense, because there's a whole lot of wildlife on these islands, which is not necessarily historically accurate, but, you know, whatever. Let's go ahead and pick out a seed for ourselves. This looks pretty good, I guess. A lot of beaches over here. Yeah, I kind of like this. Gotta name it, though. Oars Rest. Nah. Dangamon. 3 streams. There's probably no streams on here, so no. Huen. I like Huen. We're gonna call it Huen. We'll probably go ahead and leave it as a small map size, plains, and mild, just kind of give you guys a sense of what this game is like. We'll leave disasters on, because if something catches on fire, that could be kind of fun. So, let's go ahead and get started. Life is Feudal. It's going to be kind of fun, I think. The graphics are definitely improved over Banished, in my opinion. And otherwise, it's got a lot of very similar mechanics. Very, very similar. Alright, welcome to the village. Forest little village. So, this is what I'm talking about as far as the graphics are concerned. You can kind of mess around with the camera here. We start off on normal difficulty with a couple of shacks, which you can see do the exact same thing as they would in a game like Banished. You have your people live here. And depending on the size of the building, they can have some children. They're going to need to have firewood and food and stuff like that. Of course, we can see immediately that this game falls for the exact same coding trap as Banished, where for some reason all of the men have decided to segregate themselves in this hut, and all of the women over here, rather than actually living together and, you know, having babies. Makes sense. Just kind of how it works. You do start off with a barn, which is where you're going to store all of your food and tools, and a warehouse, which is a separate storage unit that houses your building materials. And you can see up here in the left, there are quite a few different building materials to work with. We have log, stone, ore, clay, hay, and then there's processed goods like firewood, charcoal, cast iron, and so on, clothes, lots of different food items, and so on. You can see over here in the top left that we have a certain number of adults, teenagers, which is a little bit misleading, because this 3-year-old is considered a teenager for some reason. No idea why, doesn't make a lick of sense, but okay. I'm guessing that's where it classifies that they are now able to go to school and start learning, become educated, so on. Here's the babbies, 2 babbies. And if we want to go ahead and open up the Professions tab, let's see if I can find it. This one? There it is. Does this look familiar to you guys? Because it should. Same basic concept, through and through. Got our builders, we have our fishers, gatherers' huts, hunting lodges, and so on, crop fields. But one of the cool things about Life is Feudal, Forest Village, is it does try to take some of the more popular additions that people made to Banished in the mod packs. So, for example, if we want to go here to the food stuff, you can see that there is an apiary option, which I haven't built yet. I'd have to actually drag it out. But there's an apiary if you want to do some beekeeping. You've got a big honkin' windmill if you want to be making flour for bread and stuff like that. You know, some kind of cool features, I think. Got a lot of similarities, but this game is a little on the slower side than Banished, so let's go ahead and immediately start queuing out some buildings and kind of get this on a roll. We're going to do a small house to start us off. Looks kind of like this. Now, you can see right off the bat, like, I kind of like the look of these buildings. The graphics are actually pretty good. Small house is a little bit better than a shack. We'll probably want to place it somewhere like over... You do one right here? We can totally do one right here. Maybe not. Hang on, gotta place one, let's say, here. This will do fine. Okay, exact same concept. They're gonna be gathering materials from your local warehouses and your barns, bringing them over here. And once it is done, we can assign a couple of builders who will start the construction process. Let's go ahead and move this up to 10 times speed and get started on this. So, off they go to the warehouse, dragging over a lot of resources, starting with the wood, then the stone, and so on. And we'll get to watch this process. The animations of actually building the house, I think, are a little bit better than they are in Banished, which is kind of nice. Go ahead and slow this down for a second and take a look-see. You know, there we go. There we go. One house. The reason I'm building a house, of course, is because we do have one homeless person still. They do that to force you to build a house pretty early on. But there we go. One house done in the forest village. And it looks fantastical, if you ask me. Why it's starting with some, like, moss/vines on the sides, I don't know. It's a brand new house, but there we go. Okay, so that's the construction process here in Life is Feudal. Let's go ahead and start collecting some resources. It works the exact same way as in Banished. We're going to collect a bit of wood. We're going to collect ourselves a bit of stone, collect some hay, collect a little bit of iron ore if we can find some. There's some right there. And that will do just fine. And in the meantime, we do need to get ourselves a food source. So one thing that I suppose we could do, go to this food tab. We have a few different options. We have a Fisherman's Lodge, Gatherer's Hut, Hunting Cabin, Orchard, Field, Apiary, Coop, which I imagine will be for like chickens and stuff, which we don't have right now, Windmill, and a bakery. We're going to start off with a simple Fisherman's Lodge, and I think we can place it right over here. Something like this will probably be fine, right? Pretty good. That looks pretty good if you ask me. Place. There you go. Exact same thing is going to have to happen, and once that is done, we can assign a couple people to go fishing. And just like you would expect in a game like Banished, they gather up the fish and bring it to the barn. Pretty simple. I mean, really, if you're at all familiar with Banished, you're immediately going to see a lot of the similarities, not just in like the way that the game is formatted, but also the UI itself. I mean, look at this. You know, you literally have a frickin' Forester's Lodge. It's in so many ways, it feels like a direct copy and paste. Which is why I think it is getting such harsh reviews on Steam, because people are thinking it's a total ripoff. At the same time, though, it does add some new features, a lot of new content. It actually kind of improves on Banished in a few different ways, and just the fact that it is similar to Banished is not enough to say that it is not a good game, in my opinion. Banished is a good game, and I'm not surprised that people are trying to do something similar. They're trying to emulate a popular game style and format. Makes sense, as long as they do add in some new content. And I suppose one thing I could show you that is actually directly new content. Let's take this person. Hello, I'm going to usurp your brain now. And welcome to first-person mode in Forest Village. So basically, you can do everything that the villagers would normally do. Go around and plant trees, blow a horn, fish, hunt, whatever the heck you want. Drop off resources in this particular case. Yoink. I'm just going to go out here. I'm going to find myself a tree. And I'm going to mine the resource, as they say. Graphics clip a little bit if you do that, but there we go. And now we're just living the life of a villager. If you want to micromanage, it is absolutely something you can do. Does it add any particular benefit to the game? No, it's just cool. And I kind of like it. Now, I suppose one thing we could do is go hunting with this character as well, if we really felt like we need to get some food. That's one thing I suppose I can show you real quick. I'm just trying to chop down this stupid tree, but it turns out it's a big one. Oh, good lord, come on, just fall over. I want to show the graphics. Come on, it's taking forever. Maybe I should have chosen a smaller tree. Yes, I should have chosen a smaller tree. There we go, timber! Boom! And it sinks into the ground. But yeah, if you ever want to experience your little village that you've created here and such, this is actually a pretty cool way to do it. This is definitely something you wouldn't find in Banished. I can just walk around and be like, hi, I am one of you people. I swear I'm not a god possessing you. Hello! How are you? Oh, excuse me. No, you're in my face. Sir, 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 no. Okay, well, you can also just walk right through me, that's fine. And we'll just hit escape, and now they will move on to their daily routine. Kinda cool, right? It's not so bad. It is pretty cool. Let's go back to speed 10. So, what we're gonna probably do then is start getting together some basic industry and so on. Let's see, resource gathering. I suppose one thing we probably should start off with is a Forester's Lodge, so we can get people gathering up wood. Wood, of course, is going to end up being very important. Place it, let's say, right over here. Sounds pretty good. Have a couple of builders ready to go. If they are a laborer, they will gather up resources just like they would in Banished, chop down trees, mine rocks, deliver resources, and so on. So you want to have a good, healthy amount of laborers. And if they're a builder, well, they'll just do this. I think they can deliver resources as well if they are a builder, but there we go. And now that that is done, I'm going to go ahead and say that I only want to have one person operating this Forester's Lodge, and get them started like so. And the thing is, again, the fact that this is a very similar game to Banished wouldn't bother me, but one thing I think is a little bit atrocious is just the fact that it copies so much of the UI. I mean, take a look at this. This is exactly like you would find in Banished. Exactly like you would find. I don't know. Some people, I think, are being a little bit harsh on the game. It is still a good game, but that I admit is a little bit shameless. But yeah. Now, one downside to this game, my opinion, is that it is a little bit slower than Banished. Not necessarily because people age at a different rate or don't accomplish anything, but because, well, they just carry a lot less stuff. I feel like their carrying limit is quite low. So they have to walk around a lot more than you would in Banished, therefore it just sort of takes a lot longer to gather up resources and actually do anything. Which is a little unfortunate, but at the same time, you know, that's just kind of the way that this game's going to work. It's, I don't know, it's intended to be a game that you kind of take at a leisurely pace and just kind of have fun wandering around and doing things. Speaking of doing things, did I see a bear? Yes, here's a bear. Alright, let me show you one of the things that I actually think is a little bit dumb about this game. Hang on. Let's do this. Hello, you. Argit, I am going to take control of your brain. There we go. Thank you. Let's go hunt the bear. I'm dead serious. Let's go hunt the bear. Hello, bear. Now you might... Oh, two bears. You might think that I'm in big trouble right now. It's a bear. It will kill me. And you might think, well, it's definitely not a good idea to provoke it by shooting it. Waboop! And it's dead. That's it. Bears are basically like cattle in this game. So are wolves, by the way. They just plop over dead once you're done with them. It's a little disappointing. I kind of feel like bears ought to be a bit more of a hazard. But no, they'll just wander right into your village, they won't bother anybody, and you can just walk up and poke them with a stick and they fall over dead. That's a little bit silly to me. Now, I have no idea if they are a threat if I have a coop, right? If I were to get myself a coop and have some chickens or something like that, maybe that would be a little bit dangerous. And they'll kill that, I have no idea. Let's go ahead and drop off those resources. Sound the horn, and then back off. She has no idea why she did what she just did, but she feels surprisingly brave. Alright, let's go ahead and speed this up. We are the richest island on the planet, yeah. I thought it was Banished, says Lucas. It's so similar. Let's go ahead and get some crops going. Crops are kind of fun. Now, one thing I like about this that it does, I think is a little bit better than Banished. If I go ahead and start placing a field, let's say right over here, we actually want to place it relatively close to the well, because it does require some water and humidity. Crops are a little bit different in this game, just a little bit. But let's place it over here. And what you can see, it actually tells you ahead of time. See up here in the top left, there's this the field icon, and underneath it has like a person with a hammer, and it says 1 next to it. And as you expand, oh look, now it says 2. It tells you ahead of time how many laborers you are going to need for a farm of this size. That's a nifty feature. That makes things a lot easier, and I'd say that that gives them a pretty nice advantage over Banished. Let's go ahead and place down our first field. We'll have just a small one that only one person has to work. We need to chop down a couple of these little trees, bring over 26 wood. Shouldn't be a problem whatsoever. By the way, for the Forester's Lodge, you can tell it to either plant or chop trees or disable each one as you see fit. Just like in Banished. I'm going to say that a lot, but really, it's like, when in doubt, it's just like Banished. Whatever. It's fine, though. It's fine. Let's gather up some hay. We're going to need a lot of that for building stuff. I'll just give my laborers something to do in the meantime. Deliver those resources, please. They have. All right, let's get a builder together. And I'll show you guys how the farming works in this game. There's a kind of a cool feature to it, I think. It does take weather into account, whereas it wouldn't really do that as much in, let's say, Banished. Hang on, real quick. I don't like that this fox exists. You, sir. Yoink! Pull out the arrows. That's a weird-looking fox. It's dead now. Boink! And we get their hides. Oh, I'm building. Oops, I am sawing the... I'm sawing the hides. Okay, well, we can do this ourselves if you want to. There we go. See, if you don't wanna just sit back and be passive, you can just get involved directly. I'm breaking the fence. That makes sense. Go ahead and let him do his thing. He'll be more effective than I will anyway. Go back up to max speed. Anyway, yeah, so it does take weather into account, and I'll show you guys as soon as this thing is built. There it is. Okay, so we have our first little field, and we'll have to assign a farmer here, and we have to choose what we want to plant. We can plant some flax, which is going to be useful for eventually creating clothing. You can plant some grass, which I think effectively will be for hay, so you can have animals and stuff like that. Oats, potato, and wheat. And we can take a look at the different food sources here and see what the difference is. So it tells you right here what actual temperature is optimal for growing the oats and what kind of humidity they want. So right here, we can see that the current temperature is 82 degrees. It is currently not raining at all, but it would ideally have 50 to 90% humidity for the crop. It can still grow on its own, but it's a lot slower if it doesn't have the right humidity threshold. Now, one way to make this work, if it is not raining, then what you can do is have your farmer go out to the well, he'll pick up some water and deliver it and kind of till the soil and moisturize it a little bit. And if you're doing something like, let's say, potatoes, which requires a lot less humidity, if you get too wet, then the farmer can go out here and till the soil and try to help it dry out. Wheat requires a little bit more middle of the road. Normal growing versus some normal growing potatoes and fast growing oats. If we were in a very humid environment, this would be quite good, but I think for now, we'll probably start with potatoes, say okay, and there's our food limit, vegetables and stuff like that, and now this person puts on a hat, and he becomes a farmer. Oh wait, I have to actually hit play before I do that, otherwise we're not going to be able to move around. Click, yoink! Excuse me, coming through, taking over your brain. Okay, so can I interact? There we go. And now I am planting some potatoes. And that's it. There it is. It's a tiny little potato plant. Look at him. It's so baby and cute. I don't know. It's a frickin' potato. What do you want me to say? Let's go ahead and keep planting some more potatoes. Yoink. And one other thing we can do, apparently, I don't know what all these buttons do. Like 5 and 6, I have no idea what this stuff does, but I think 5 is a dance. I'm just doing a little jig, I think. I can't see myself, but I'm pretty sure that's all I'm doing. Ah, whatever. We'll let him have his brain back. But there you go. Pretty easy. Little crop. This will grow some potatoes. As long as it's a favorable conditions for growing food, that's what he will do. There's a couple different kinds of food in this game, of course. We have, let's see, meat, fish, milk, eggs, fruit, vegetables, honey, bread, and so on. A bunch of different pies, grain, flour, alcohol, so on. They do have actual kilocalories associated with the type of food. And apparently, it doesn't actually show you this, but apparently there's also vitamins. Different types of food have different vitamins, which is vital to the health of your citizens and makes them more productive. So you want to have a pretty good diversity of food. I really wish that it would give you more information, though. If I were to hover over this fruit and, like, click on it, like, it doesn't say anything. It just says it's 6 kilocalories, but it doesn't tell me anything about the nutrition. It doesn't tell me anything about the vitamins, and I kind of would like to know some of that information. But it doesn't have it. It just says in the tutorial that it does. So I have to take it at its word and just kind of move on from there. How are we doing over here in the Foresters Lodge and stuff, by the way? As far as I can tell, everything's going pretty well. Saw a tree fall over here. Now, one thing I like about Banished that this game does not seem to have is I like seeing in Banished what a building has been able to produce in the last season. And I think it's supposed to do that. There's this little option right here. Select the building to show statistics. And if I click on the Foresters Lodge, I'm doing what it says to, but as far as I can tell, it's not actually doing anything. I see no information about the building, nothing about what it has produced in the last, while. Little disappointing, because that actually would be a useful feature, How much fish are we producing? What about potatoes? What about logs? Nope, doesn't say. So, if there's a way to make that work, I haven't figured it out. I've had a very brief amount of experience with this game in preparation for this series, but there you go. All right, let's take a look at some of the other buildings that are available to us while they go off and do their work. So, resource gathering. We have a Lumberjack's Lodge, and this is where you create your firewood. It's the same sort of thing you would expect in a game like Banished. If you want to go ahead and place one like this, let's go ahead and do that. We know that we're going to need it come winter. We'll have our builder do his thing. We also have a stone quarry. Now, here's an interesting little feature. Click on this. Oh, look at this little overlay. It tells you where you can place something in order to get the maximum amount of resources. So, like right here, for example, we can get about, I think I saw 4,900 stone for a second there. 4,600, 49, there we go. Place it right here, that's a pretty good amount of stone, as opposed to over here where you get nothing. So you do want to be a little bit careful where you are placing some of your resource gathering buildings. The same sort of thing happens with ore. Same sort of thing happens with clay. Now, why you need to build a mine in order to get clay, I don't know, because depending on the type of clay, you often would get some along the shores or something like that, or maybe it's immediately accessible below the grass. But in this game, you have to build a mine in order to get clay, so that's just what you get. As far as some other buildings, we do have a Blacksmith Shop, like so, little thing down here. And we have a Weaver's Workshop, which is your standard tailor. We have a furnace in order to turn the iron into cast iron. So let's see, this ore right here has to be refined into cast iron in order to make proper good tools. So that's what you would do. And again, you can kind of see a little bit of the influence of some of the mod packs in Banished, where they were adding in smelters and stuff like that. Rather than mining the ore and it immediately turns into a bar, you have to actually refine it, which makes some more sense. So again, it's trying to take some popular features from the Banished community. Then we have a kiln, which is good for basically burning down your firewood into charcoal, which makes it more efficient over time. Pretty useful. And then lastly, we have the Carpenter Shop, which is where you apparently make crude tools. Why you would want to make primitive tools as opposed to high-quality tools? Here's the reason why. So these are a lot easier to make. Just take some wood and I think a little bit of iron and you're done. In order to make proper tools with the blacksmith, you first have to get the kiln so you can get charcoal, use the charcoal and the iron ore to make cast iron, and then use the cast iron and wood to make proper tools with Blacksmith Shop. So you actually need 3 different buildings in order to get the proper tools. The Carpenter Shop, it's a little bit faster. That's some of the basic gathering and refining buildings in the game. We also have some municipal buildings, of course. Here's something kind of cool, a port. Now look at that, ain't that pretty? That looks pretty good. I think it's a good... I honestly really do like the models in this game. The models for the buildings and stuff look pretty awesome. Why would you want a port? Well, supposedly the thing that the port does, I haven't tested this myself, is you can assign someone to be an explorer, a maritime explorer, and what they're going to do is go off sailing and learn about new types of food, new plants that you can grow. It's not quite a trader, but it gets you that technology, gets you access to new stuff by doing so. Pretty cool looking, costs a lot of resources. We also have a school, which I imagine will work the same way as Banished, have your children going off and learning to make them more efficient in the future. We have ourselves a, whoop, it's a bit big, Tavern. This is pretty big and awesome, look at that. Again, the models for these buildings, I think, look pretty awesome. Yeah, that's a tavern. Obviously, it produces alcohol, gives people kind of a place to rest and get happier. You have a herbalist's hut, which is the same as you would expect in Banished. It gathers up herbs, which you can then use in a healer shop. Unfortunately, the rain is making it kind of difficult to see right now, but there's basically this healer shop, which functions very similar to the hospital, uses up herbs, makes people happier. By the way, notice there's a bear in your potato farm, and it's doing absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Worthless beast, come here. Pull out the bow, in the butt, boom, dead bear. Easy enough. It's just a little silly to me. It's just a little silly. A pyre. What exactly this does, I'm assuming it is more of a funeral pyre, I think? So you can burn the bodies, as opposed to building a crypt, which is where I imagine you would store them kind of like a graveyard. So there is that. And then a well, of course, if you need more water sources, which is always going to be useful. We also have some decorative buildings. Let's take a look-see. There's a castle keep and stuff like that. And then you can place a whole bunch of different stone walls and gates and towers and stuff. If you want to build a castle on this island for some reason, go for it. Not sure what it really does for you, but if you want to build like a proper port city, you know, like an English port city in like the Caribbean and stuff, and have like a big keep and a lot of walls and a port going off and stuff like that, you can do that. And then you can walk around it and enjoy the fruits of your labor. It's an option. Castle Smithy. I have no idea what this does apart from the regular one, but it's there. There's a marketplace. There's a donkey... What's it called? Donkey farm. Yes, you need to raise donkeys? No problem. We have a donkey farm. And then an accountant's office, which I'm guessing gives you general statistics like a city hall. We have some roads. We have some decorative buildings. Kind of scarce on the decorative buildings, which makes me a little sad. You got like some road signs, you got some pretty cool looking lamps. But otherwise, it's just like a scarecrow and that's about it. A statue. There's not much in the way of decoration in this game, but oh well, it's got good graphics, so I suppose that's okay. Fences, if you needed to place a palisade around, you could do something like that. And that's really about it. That's pretty much everything that the game has to offer. You can also do a lot more terraforming than you could in Banished. So in Banished, you were pretty much limited by your environment, right? If you had a hill in your way, too bad. You were pretty much never going to build there unless you had a mod that helped you flatten out the land. You can definitely do that a lot better in Forest Village. For example, if I want to select this area right here, and then I can... Whoops. Can I please... No, 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 no! Dang it. Hang on. Flatten the ground. No, stop doing that. I wanted to show you guys... Raise or lower the ground. Maybe this is what we want. There we go. See, we can do something like this. It'll spend a bit of laborers. We can lower or raise up the terrain, create ramps between it. If you really wanted to get very technical, you could probably create a very nice layered city using this game, if you wanted to. There's some hills, ramps, which I imagine work something kind of like this. Let's go ahead and try building one. Do this. There we go. Did it work? I think so. I think we need to have a couple laborers come over here and work on it. Let's go ahead and bump up the speed for a minute. Why the hell would you need to raise donkeys? I don't know. I don't know if it actually helps them deliver goods faster. If it does, that in and of itself is a very good reason, because again, one of the main complaints I have about this game is their carrying limit seems pretty low. There we go. We created a ramp. Nice. Which is good, because they can't walk up these rocks. So now I've created them a nice little avenue to get up this hill pretty effortlessly, moving on from there. That's pretty much the game, though, guys. So now I'm looking back at chat here, seeing a thing. Pravus is a grown man with the soul of a child. He would. I have no idea what you're talking about, but I do have the soul of a child. I'm trapped in here. Please get me out. We probably want to place another field right here. Let's see if I can place one more. I want to do a flax field if I can. Because I know that going forward at some point, I'm going to need to be able to make my own clothes. Actually, if we click on a citizen here, you can see their happiness is quite high. This is the quality of their current clothing and the quality of their tools. When they get down to 0, they're going to need to get some new stuff. So we got a little bit of time on our hands, but we do need to get some flax. Flax in conjunction with either leather or wool can create clothing, because as you all know, flax is string. So that's how we're going to work, right? Some of you guys are going to get that reference, I have no doubt. Hi, bear! Don't eat my people! No, he's not going to bother nobody. Oh, look, a wolf! Wolf also will not bother anybody. Kind of figures. Alright. Are you going to stream more often, asks PV Tip. I really would like to, but it has a lot to do with my availability. I mean, if people like games like this and stuff, I mean, sure. But, I don't know. Streaming is fun, but... Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and turn off this farm. We don't need to make flax right now. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and start harvesting these potatoes. Because we're getting into fall, and pretty soon it's going to get too cold. So let's go ahead and start the gathering process. Yeah, I would like to stream more often. Couple of problems with that is, one, it just generally doesn't get as much traction as my YouTube content, so it's not very profitable, but it is fun for me. But mostly it's just a question of time. Very difficult for me to get weekends free these days and actually do any streaming. So I'm trying to do that more often, especially since right now I have some break time before 4th of July, but that's what we're looking at. Anyways, alright, so it's about 9:30. I'm questioning whether or not I want to do half-hour videos on YouTube and put a quick cut in here, or if I want to keep going. You guys think 30-minute or hour-long videos is going to be better on YouTube? What do you think? Thomas sad. That's all. The game is over. Yep. I've showed you basically everything. It's just now we have to kind of build. We just have to keep expanding, get more laborers, just keep going, progressively expand, just like you would in a game like Banished. I will say that the Foresters' Lodges here, I feel like are far more predisposed to cutting down trees than planting them, because as you can already see, most of the trees are gone. They're supposed to be planting more, but I don't think they're doing a very good job. 30 minutes? 30 minutes it is. Alright, so what I'm going to do then is I'm going to put in a quick cut for YouTube. Stick around, Twitch audience. Thank you all for watching on YouTube. I hope that you enjoyed. We're going to do this for at least another hour and a half or so, so probably a couple more videos. Stay tuned if you would like to see more. But that is a quick introduction into the game. Hope you enjoyed. I will see you guys next time.